This comes to us from our friends in the Great White North, strange Brewland, Canada. A trans-identified male, it's a man pretending to be a woman in this case,
Such a gross story.
claims to be HIV positive. He inserts progesterone rectally, of course.
What other way would you do it, Dan, really?
That's my preference. And he is breastfeeding.
Yeah.
Or chest feeding, I'm not sure what's the proper term, his child with the support of established medical clinics in Canada. Former men's rights activist Murray Pearson is 52 years old. You may know him more recently as Margaret or Margie Fancy Pants, which is his alter ego. He shared an image of himself at a lactation clinic holding a 9-month-old.
So gross.
He posted from the clinic, did Margie Fancy Pants, the 52-year-old. Hey, sisters, cheers. It turns out that one indisputable benefit of being trans femme is that you can be pregnant and get drunk with no undue problems. Malt is spectacular for lactation, so for trans femme moms, a beer is actually beneficial. I have a baby almost 9 months old. This baby is staggeringly meaningful because their presence in my life is astoundingly unlikely. Yet there they are, and they are perfect, and I cannot wait to connect through feeding. And yes, I will stop drinking before it negatively affects anything they drink.
I would be more concerned that the HIV positive, that the virus, deadly virus, can be transmitted through breast milk.
I'd be a little bit more concerned that a 52-year-old named Margie Fancy Pants somehow got access to a 9-month-old child.
Yeah, I'm disturbed about that too. And shame on that breastfeeding clinic for even indulging him.
Margie Fancy Pants, this is a wish I've had for decades. My egg cracked a year ago on December 12th. I realized I can nurse my baby already on the way. That lit a fire under me, and I've gone from having lean pectoral muscle in March to full B cups now and growing fast.
So confused. Mm-hmm. So this is a man, woman, turn what's going on?
No, it's a dude named Murray Pearson who now pretends to be Margie Fancy Pants because he's an adult.
Yeah, but he didn't give birth, okay? So you just
No,
but he was breastfeeding him.
He's taking the progesterone rectally, as I mentioned. So, yeah, these are the sort of complicated issues that are taken up by our wonderful gender studies programs at the collegiate level. It's so helpful because they can explain this to us, how it's all very normal, and that to support Margie Fancy Pants is the right and proper thing to do in an inclusive society. Also, let me introduce you to Dorian Electra. Dorian Electra is a non-binary singer, and she's taken it one step further than the all-gender identity bathrooms.
What's more to do?
Well, let me show you, or tell you, or let you hear it.
You guys spoke, and I listened. I'm making all the bathrooms at my concerts not only gender neutral, but species neutral. I will be providing litter boxes in the bathrooms for all animal-identifying concert goers on my tour. Now that's inclusivity in action.
Kitty litters?
Yeah, litter boxes. And then there's video of her putting litter boxes in all these bathrooms at this concert venue. By the way, not satire.
No.
I know we have to say that a lot.
Too.
Yeah, Margie Fancy Pants, Dorian Electra, not satire. They probably have advanced degrees from one of the Seven Sisters, as far as I know. For more on all of this, we're pleased to be joined by Mark Bauerlein. He's a professor of English emeritus at Emory University, senior editor of First Things, author of The Dumbest Generation and The Dumbest Generation Grows Up. And he joins us now. Professor Bauerlein, thanks for being with us again. Appreciate it.
Dan and Amy, good morning, and call me Mark.
All right, Mark, thank you for joining us. So you had experience at Emory University, and now you're on the board of trustees at New College in Florida, where there's been a little bit of an attitude change thanks to Ron DeSantis' leadership on things like identitarian politics masquerading as academic rigor. So, I mean, these I like to say outlier examples, but I don't think they're outlier examples anymore. And they're celebrated by the deep thinkers on college campuses. So, how did it go in New College of Florida when you guys chose to take the gender studies department offline? And what does that tell us in terms of potentially a case study of how to do it in other places if that's feasible?
Well, we terminated the area of concentration gender studies, sort of the major. And, my thing is gender studies developed, gender theory was founded really as a kind of activist program. It was out to, we see these things in the public square. Now, these things were hitting, Dan and Amy, I saw this in 1990 in academia. The creation of these studies programs, and then the filtering of queer theory and all the marginal, the abnormal, the dissident. Their favorite words were transgression, subversion. They loved the idea of undoing sort of common sense, normalcy. They were doing in the departments 35 years ago, and now we see the fruits of that. And my thing is, activism is not a place to operate on college campuses. This is a place for study and learning. It's a place to build knowledge. It's not a place to act out your sexuality. A lot of these people, they're damaged human beings. I mean, who knows what happened to some of these kids when they were 6 years old. We have sympathy for that, but this is not the place to act it out, and you're concocting theories. And what's interesting is, in the cases that you just read, taking photographs of yourself doing it, it's not enough for them just to act out. They have to display it to the world. It's histrionic personality disorder. It's narcissistic personality disorder going on here. We all have to know, and we all have to affirm. I mean, we don't ask people. I don't want someone to affirm my sexuality, but boy, do we feel the pressure now, or what?
Well, so at New College, I assume the gender studies concentration had been part of the academic offerings, and so there had to be support for it. So, even if there's a new board installed by a governor that wants something more rigorous in terms of state college offerings, how did you get it done? Why didn't we hear about a revolt among the faculty and protests and so on and so forth?
Well, here's what I would say about these cases. You take a stand, and you get a temper tantrum going on for a couple days, and you just say, well, okay, go ahead, scream and protest and march. And, the police had to form, cordons. They had to lock elbows in order to get us out of these meetings a few times. The mob, there were 500 of them out there yelling and shrieking and spitting. I can't say everything that came out of their mouths on the air. But look, when Donald Trump took gender out of Title IX 1 month into his term, what happened? Nothing. You had a couple days of tantrum, and then it was over. Now, Biden put it right back in, in the first week of his presidency. But the point is, if we stand up, if we don't allow their guilt trips and the hysteria to get to us, I think just a firm position on what is normal and abnormal, on what is constructive versus destructive, then we win. The problem isn't whether we're right or not. The problem is whether our leaders have any spine or not. And Ron DeSantis does. And the trustees at New College, we're pretty solid on the changes that we've made. We've been pretty consistent, unintimidated.
And what has that generated outside of the the bubble of faculty and some student groups? What's been sort of the New College ecosystem's response? Alumni and donors and. prospective students?
Well, we had about 30 plus professors leave in one way or another, take early retirement or take jobs elsewhere. But we're hiring others. The news stories were there's a brain drain going on in Florida.
Right.
I get emails every week from professors interested in coming to New College. There are a lot of people out there. We got the biggest entering class of freshmen last fall in New College history. We're going to get an even bigger one this coming fall. I mean, the place only had 680 students. In a state with 22 million people, you can only get that many. I mean, this was not a thriving institution when we came in. And I mean, the grounds look better. The buildings are being renovated. I mean, there were elevators that didn't work. There was mold in the dorms. A lot of material improvements are happening on the campus. We've got sports teams now. That's a big part of our group. And some athletics, male and female teams, that kind of changes the climate on the campus. And the athletes are great people. Wonderful guys and gals.
Well, also too, I mean, do you sense this is a bit of a flight to quality because there are so few institutions that are not beholden to the identitarian left that this becomes like a Hillsdale, a Grove City, a handful of others. This is a place that if you're not going to one of those other schools, maybe for regional reasons or other reasons, athletic reasons, that this is a safe haven, so to speak.
Well, look, woke identity politics, these are anti-intellectual positions. They do not allow open debate. They suppress dissent. They often operate not on evidence and fact and logic. They operate on indignation, right? Outrage, as if that counts as a position in the public square. So I think that one of the things about identity politics, I mean, Ibrahim Kendi, this major celebrity, he does not come off as a very smart individual. But he says, he says the things that are going to please the hard left, the identity politicians. So this is the problem. I mean, John Stuart Mill, 150 years ago, put it this way: you got to have a little controversy in the room. You got to have a few people who don't agree with you in order to keep you fresh, so you don't get smug and complacent and lazy. I mean, one thing about killing gender studies at New College, the faculty issued a letter opposing what we were doing. Every single faculty member was behind it. And I want to say, wait a minute, everyone? That sounds Orwellian, right? That sounds like an election in the Soviet Union here. Come on. I mean, you guys, nobody here raises questions about these things. That shows anti-intellectual pressure.
Well, for sure. And but then the interesting thing too is you had 30 professors leave, but obviously many more stayed. So this is like I have to check the mentality is I have to check this box, but it really doesn't mean anything to me. And I probably agree with those people who are sidelining this area of concentration. So I'm going to move on because I did what I had to do in the moment. But I mean, it still speaks to a certain cowardice that is problematic. But it does but it's sort of like what I always say about the Illinois General Assembly. The bad news is they're all cowards. The good news is they're all cowards. So it doesn't take much leadership to move them in a different direction.
Right. I mean, I think that on the faculty in America, I think what you got almost all of them are liberals, and most of them are moderate liberals. You got a small group of the hard activists. The problem is that giant middle is scared of the activists. They're scared of the idea. They don't want to be called racist. They know that the activists, even though the moderate liberal has never voted Republican in his life, he knows that if he agrees 19 times but disagrees on the 20th time, they'll come after him.
Mm-hmm.
They are ruthless. They are punitive. Woke is a vengeful position. Okay? Just try telling a joke. They don't laugh.
Yeah. So then what you're saying is no litter boxes in the bathrooms at New College? Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't know if we want to go that far, Dan. I don't know.
Mark Bauerlein, Professor Emeritus of English at Emory, Senior Editor of First Things, author of The Dumbest Generation and The Dumbest Generation Grows Up. Mark, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan and me.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. On AM 560, The Answer.